Hello. Oh, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are out there. We got a couple of you people out in England still. And where else do we have crazy listeners and subscribers,
The
Daphne? I know
Philippines,
the Philippines. So we are international. Canada, the UK, Italy,
France.
France, the Philippines, and right here in the good old US of A.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Doing awesome. It's summertime down here in Texas, so the dragon is here. She's landed, and she's doing her thing.
There you go. So the
Yeah.
AC's all up.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's that bill's going to be nasty in the end of June.
There you go. Well, today we have with us Sunny Blake. Thank you for joining us, Sunny.
Thanks for having me. I'm
Yeah,
excited to be here.
cool. She is a wellness coach and trainer, and I think you're in Colorado, yes?
Yes, ma'am. Denver, Colorado.
Very cool. So, one of the reasons I wanted Sunny to come on, we'd had a chat about something entirely different, not the podcast, but you were talking about the importance of health and wellness in your business.
Hmm.
And, Daphne and I have both been down that roller coaster. I think my internal health has always been an expression of my external health, or the other way around, right? Super stressed out, business is a disaster, burning the candle at both ends. Oddly, I was fat, stressed out, not eating well, not at working out, taking pills to sleep. It kind of that whole hand in hand thing. So that's what we wanted to talk to you about today. I think that's in your specialty and what you're doing. So, yeah, give us a
Just a
little
little bit.
background there. How did you get into all of this? And I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Daphne. I was in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and Plano, Texas this last week, and I gotta say, to get used to the Texas heat, just spend a few days in Oklahoma. It was horrible. We got into Texas, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But living in Denver, Colorado, there's zero humidity whatsoever, so it's the
Oh
best.
yeah, you
It's
were
the
dying.
best.
You
Yeah.
were
Oh yeah.
dying.
Oh yeah. My hair is very straight. It's actually naturally curly. And in Texas and in Oklahoma, it like poofed up. But anyways, yeah, you were saying that and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I understand just a little bit about the humidity from just being there on Sunday." But yeah, so my name is Sunny. I'm the owner and founder of Sunny Blake Fitness. I am a wellness coach and a trainer. So basically, what that means is I work one on one and in group settings with individuals who tend to be really successful professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners. And I work with them not only on their physical
Sunny,
health. Yeah.
Sunny. I hate to interrupt you. We're getting some static. Getting a little bit of static. The when you're talking. Okay, those are AirPods.
Yes.
Okay, those are AirPods. Okay, don't worry, we can possibly edit some of this out. Just say something. Round brown cow.
Round brown cow.
Yeah, it's those AirPods. Oh man, they're they're crispy. They're frying. They're crisping the sound as you're talking.
Okay. Do you want me to take them out and go without them?
I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
I think we're
better.
gonna have to. I think that'd be better. The echo would be better than what we're
Okay.
getting now.
Yeah.
Unless
Let's try.
you got some old school wired ones.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I do. I'll be very close to the camera, but I can wire in. Do you want me to do that?
Let's try it and see how it
Yeah,
sounds.
Okay.
let's try that.
Okay. It's weird. I've never heard people say static with my AirPods on podcasts.
Oh, no. Could be StreamYard.
It could be StreamYard. StreamYard is a weird baby. She stuff she likes and doesn't like, and then we throw
Yeah.
in the distance with the internet, so I can never tell. I like your ink.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I've got it here and I've got a bunch of it.
Looky
Wait, where's the
there.
camera? There.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
I hope it's not
Okay.
us. All right. Give me a little bit more.
Brown cow. 1, 2, 3, testing.
It's better.
It's better. It's something going on with the internet, but we'll live. Let's go. We got a great sound guy.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is better.
Where do you
Sorry
want?
to interrupt you, but people
That's okay.
will cut the podcast out if it's not clear.
Yeah. Where
Do
do
we
you want
want to
me
start
to
over?
pick back up? Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just say, or should we just start over, Dath? We're only 5 minutes in.
No, go back. Just let her start in about her
I'm a
her
wellness
beginning.
coach and
Yeah.
trainer.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Just tell me when to go.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Sunny. I'm the owner of Sunny Blake Fitness. I am a wellness coach and a trainer. So what that basically means is I work with individuals, groups, and businesses on all aspects of what I call total human health. So we're not just looking at physical health and fitness like a personal trainer. We're also adding in your nutritional health, your mindset and your mental health, stress levels, happiness, environmental health, and spiritual health. So, what I do is I work with clients to kind of increase their frequency across all areas of health. I typically work with people who classify themselves as unhealthy. So whether that's excess weight or, maybe some of their cholesterol indicators, blood pressure, things like that are off, or maybe they just feel really sluggish, like, the 3 p.m. slump hits at work and they find themselves running to the candy jar or running, to put to have more coffee. I work with people who tend to classify themselves as unhealthy, little bit unhappy, lacking some confidence, and then through working with them on their total life health, we get them to what we call physically and mentally thriving.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, just the stress of owning a business, especially our listeners are generally Gen Xers, right? So the change in the way your body deals with things from 20s to 30s to 40s, right? Especially 40s to 50s for women.
Mm-hmm.
That energy with your hormones and how it can go crazy. And the next thing you know, like depending on if you still got kids at home, all these type of things, your health can get out of control
Mm-hmm.
really quickly. Like the bad habits, or this, like you say, you find yourself in that slump, so you're going for the sugar, or you know, a coffee, or constantly trying to pour something on to get your energy levels up. That can really spiral out of control,
Yeah.
weight, etc.
Yeah. And a lot of things I hear from people that I work with and people that I don't work with, right, is I don't know how I got here. All of a sudden I woke up and I was 15 pounds heavier, or I'm a stress ball and I can't figure out how I got here. It's a lot of, teaching people to look at their habits and their behaviors and, reassess certain things that were maybe, Roberta, as you were saying, working in their 20s and 30s, but now they've had a few kids, or, they're putting all their energy and effort into their business. So they're more stressed, or maybe they're more sedentary because they're sitting in front of a computer all day. And it's just looking at these little tweaks and little things that we can do to help people realize, oh, this is how I got here. And then this is how I can fix it.
With the because I noticed my biggest health, I guess weight and stuff changed after childbirth,
Mm-hmm.
because I had my son in my early 30s. There was 32 to be exact. And previous had always been very active. I was in the military, so there was there was a physical requirement being in there. And then once I left and that physical requirement wasn't there anymore, you saw the big change. I mean, I saw a change while I was in there, but even more so once I wasn't, mandatory showing up running at 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say, I don't know what happened, that's probably what happened.
Right, right, right. Well, some people can very much pinpoint it, but a lot of people, where they're like, yeah, I mean, I work out consistently, or, I don't eat that bad. It's like there are just these little things that we can do that can either add to being healthier or take away from our health. So that's like a big thing that I focus on with my clients is if they don't know how they got there, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out how you got there. And then let's figure out what practices we can put in place to start to get you to where you want to be, to where you're physically and mentally thriving.
Because you mentioned you work one-on-one. So
Mhm.
obviously your practice is where the internet can reach. So it's
Yes.
worldwide.
Yes.
So you're doing so are you in some cases actually physically working out with folks, or it's really a lot of consulting and counseling?
So it's both. So yes, Daphne, you're correct. So everything I do is virtual.
Hmm.
So I work with clients in Australia, and I also work with clients that live 10 minutes from me. With every client, the first thing we do is we tackle their physical fitness, because the body is designed to move, and often movement becomes a keystone habit. So most people find that when they work out, they make better food choices. They have more energy throughout the day. Their sleep
Hmm.
is better. So the first
Right.
thing we do is we get them into movement. In movement, I have a virtual app where everything is personalized to the individual. So knowing that you used to be in the military, your body and you personally might like things differently than maybe Roberta, who, let's say Roberta was an ex-collegiate athlete. And then let's say we have another client that's never worked out a day in their life. All of your physical training programs are going to look completely different because one person might really like endurance, one person might really like heavy lifting, and one person might be so intimidated by a barbell that there's no way we're going to get them under a barbell until we just get them a little bit more confidence in the gym. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just did a live before we jumped on, talking about this very thing because it floats over into what I help people do with their marketing. If I tell you you got to be on 15 social media channels tomorrow, you're going to be like, you know what? Thanks. Same as if you're like,
You can
Roberta, we're
keep the
going to,
money. You can
yeah,
keep it.
we're,
I'm
we're
not.
going to start deadlifting tomorrow and
Right.
we're going to run a marathon. I'll be like, you know what, Sonny? Yeah,
Don't call
sun
Yeah.
don't
me.
shine, right?
Stop sending me
So,
emails. Unsubscribe.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, it's with anything we do in order to be most successful, you don't go for the hardest, most complex thing. Now, the hardest, most complex thing might be super sexy, right? It might be like, oh, well, I've never ran before, but now I'm signing up for an Ironman. But what are your chances of success? And then what are your chances of actually loving your life while you're doing it and staying committed to it? Pretty small, right? But if we take something and we say, okay, my ultimate goal is to run an Ironman. In order to run an Ironman, first of all, I need to be consistently running. Okay, so what does that look like? In the first week, I'm going to run a half mile. In the second week, I'm going to run a mile, right? So it's taking these big, like complex goals and then breaking it down, just like, what you were explaining, Roberta. It's like, well, yeah, if I'm not on social media at all, what's the easiest thing for me to do? Probably to choose one social account
absolutely.
versus like you're going to do all of them and you're going to post every day.
Yes, 12 times a day.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because ultimately, we want people to be successful. And the best way to set people up for success is by taking something and on the easy to hard scale, where 0 is the easiest, it's so automatic. It's like getting up and changing out of your pajamas and brushing your teeth for the day. And 10 is so overwhelming that like it's crippling and you feel like you're going to implode. I work with like I say no harder than a 3. Like it should be just beyond your grasp of comfort,
hmm
because that's going to be motivating to people to be like, okay, it's barely outside of my realm. And so then they'll be motivated and determined to stick with it, but it's going to be easy enough because it's not it's not so different.
right.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about a lot here. I don't know if you're familiar with BJ Fogg, researcher.
Yes.
Yeah,
Semi
have
familiar.
it.
I'm not an expert, but I've read stuff by him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole, and the research bears it out, right? If you make something so hard, your motivation has to be so strong and so all the time. because it's so hard.
Hmm.
Make it too easy, there's that threshold that people need between ability and motivation that they can start to form a habit. And then the
Hmm.
habit forms best at a small level,
Hmm.
right? Like today, I'm
Yeah.
going to just get out of bed and put my feet in my sneakers.
Yep. Yeah, and I have some clients that do that. I've worked in the fitness industry for 18 years. I started off as a group fitness instructor, and I hate to say this story, but the first of the year would come, I would get an onslaught of people into my boxing classes, and I would start to see the same faces every single day, 7 days a week. Never seen them before in my life, and they're like, "Yep, I'm going to work out every single day." And I hate to say it, in my brain, I was like, I give them 3 weeks. And lo and behold, 3 weeks comes and goes, and I never see them again. And it's because they've designed a plan that sets you up for failure
Hmm.
versus success. One of the things that I always talk to people about is, no matter what your age is, like that, like, so let's just say you're 40 years old. It took you 40 years to get to where you are. Don't expect to get to where you want to be in 4 weeks, right? Especially when it comes to getting fitter and healthier. Like, people need to understand, in the scope of life, right, where we're going to live hopefully 100 years, when we're just here, we have all this rest of living to do. So let's make these changes the appropriate way, in a way to where we're not going to backslide, in a way to where we're not going to drop 20 pounds in a month and then immediately put 15 or maybe even 25 pounds back on, and kind of lose a little bit of self-worth and motivation in the process. And let's just look and say, what is our ultimate goal? And let's take time and practice getting there, because the more we practice, the more it becomes a habit. And then the habit becomes a behavior. And then it's just who you are.
Okay, so we're not going to be the Rock. That's not happening.
Not
I mean,
tomorrow.
the Rock didn't get to where, I mean, what, you think the Rock woke up one day and was like, I want to be the biggest mofo ever, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah,
was like who he is?
yeah, because my better half, he's wrestling fan,
Okay.
and you look back on the older stuff, he got huge in his late 30s because he's like in his mid 40s now, and he was not that big when he was wrestling. He was okay. They're big in terms of regular human beings,
Right.
but as far as with other wrestlers, he's nowhere. I would venture to say he's put on an extra 60 pounds. Would you disagree? I don't know if you followed him for years.
I have not, but I know
Do you remember his first
now
movie? You remember his
he's,
first movie, Scorpion
yeah,
King?
yeah, I know now he's massive.
Yeah, compared to that guy.
Yeah.
So that guy, the first Scorpion movie, well, it was a mummy movie, and he was that size. And then compared to what he is now, like I said, at 60 pounds, uh, and it may be even more, where he just got, where he just blew
Yeah.
up. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But we also need to realize that this is what The Rock does as a profession.
Mhm.
yeah,
He has trainers, he has nutritionists, he has coaches. He is paid, in all honesty, for his body and the way that he looks, right?
Absolutely.
So normal people
hmm
who might not even have an hour a day to work out, right? It's okay, what are these things that we can do to move towards those goals, and if I had a client that was like, yeah, I want to look like The Rock, I'd be like, okay, like, that's going to take years, and you're going to have to lift twice a day in a certain pattern. You're going to have to eat certain types of food. Like, the way that he looks, since we're talking about The Rock, is not by accident and is not by
right,
chance, right?
right,
It's by him saying, I want to put on 60 pounds of muscle. So
right,
here's exactly what I'm going to do.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
for us Gen Xers, we've got Jennifer Lopez. She's what? Jennifer's what? She's
She's
55?
55,
in her 50s. Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And so that comparison thing will drive you crazy. It's like, wait a minute. Again, someone who's paid to look that way. You got
Hmm.
genetics, but there's also massive effort and resources goes into keeping Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Lopez. You know,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, she gets paid. Yeah, she gets paid to look that way. And I guarantee you, if you talked to The Rock, to Jennifer Lopez, to any professional athlete, to any person at the top of their game, they can tell you to an exact science everything they eat, when they eat it, how much they eat, when they work out, how much they work out, what time they go to bed, what time they get up, how much they drink water, how many times a day do they meditate, because they are so routined and
Mhm.
habitized to creating, a body and an environment that suits them.
Right.
And you take that and you pull it down on it doesn't have to be a smaller scale, but that is what makes people who are thriving at the top of their game is they're dedicated, and they're extremely disciplined. um and it's like, yep, and then there are certain non-negotiables, like I work out every single day, or I do some type of movement every single day, because it's just become a habit, just like brushing your teeth is a habit. If I were to tell you guys, hey guys, tomorrow morning, wake up and I don't want you to brush your teeth, I guarantee you, unless you put a post-it note on your mirror, you'll forget, because you just get up and it's just what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, well, and I like it's intention, right? I'm
Yes.
intentionally drinking this much water. I'm intentionally not buying my favorite tortilla chips as I walk through the grocery store, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. When I first I went up my last weight loss journey, and I hope it's my last weight loss journey. There were restaurants that I told my husband we couldn't go to anymore because I can't eat
Yeah.
right there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we were living in Houston, and the macaroni and cheese at certain places is not to be ignored. So like, no, we're not eating there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well, and
can't do it.
and I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it because I'm nothing but honest. When we have a goal, there is always going to be a trade off. There always is. If you want
Yeah.
to get fitter, more fit, you are exchanging your time, right? Because now it's an hour a day or however long in the gym in order for me to get fit. So the trade off is time, right? If I want to lose weight, then the trade off, Roberta, is macaroni and cheese or your favorite tortilla chips, right? Like for certain goals, especially when it comes to physical and mental health, there are going to be certain trade offs and sacrifices. And the bigger the goal, or like the further the goal is away from where you are, the bigger the trade off could potentially be, if that makes sense. And it's not
Hmm.
necessarily that they're negative trade offs, right? This is where the mindset comes into play,
Mhm.
right? Because you could approach it two different ways. You could say, well, I want to lose weight, so I can't eat mac and cheese. I can't have tortilla chips. I can't have this. I can't have that. I can't have this.
Hmm.
I can't have that. Or you can approach it and say, I want to lose weight. And when I lose weight, I'm going to be gaining energy and mental clarity and confidence. And here are all the things that I can eat, which I love to
Hmm.
eat. You know what? I'm obsessed with carrots and hummus. And guess what? I can eat all the carrots and hummus I want, right? So it's all about our
Right.
perspective, too. It's all about
Sure.
figuring out what you really want and then framing your mindset and your environment to easily achieve what you want.
The old neurons that fire together, wire together, right? If I look at my spinach and say this sucks and I have to do it, well, every time I see
No,
it, that's all I
that
think
doesn't
about,
work.
right? You look at
Yeah,
your
I
spinach and go, this is one more dinner that I had that makes me healthy, that I feel
yeah,
better about myself, that I slept better, that
yeah,
my stress levels were down. I mean, the research on bad diet and stress is extreme.
yeah.
At this point, we know excess sugar, excess processed food causes us to be in a bad mood. But I used to do exactly what you're saying, right? I can't eat French fries for 2 weeks. Well, whatever, you got to change, like you're saying, just flip that
Hmm.
around to where this is my goal and I'm doing this for it, and fire those positivity neurons with it. So when you think about, I have 4 days with no fries and no tortilla chips, and I worked out every day, like that's a happy thought, not a I drug
Hmm.
myself
Yeah,
down this
yeah,
down this road kind of
Yeah, because
thought.
there's only we. Our favorite thing is there's only so much willpower. You get so
yes,
much effort, and then you use it all up. Okay,
yeah.
it goes back to wearing the same clothes every day. There's some, what, Bill Gates and several others, they wear the same thing. Elon Musk wears t-shirts and jeans. It's just,
Hmm.
this is what I
One less
wear.
decision.
Right. Because I
Yeah.
don't want to use the decision muscle and then the willpower muscle. So,
Well, yeah, because we know, right? We know, like what I talk to my clients about is the analogy of a gas tank. Every morning we wake up and the gas tank of willpower and decision making is full. And every decision we make throughout the day slowly depletes the gas, right? And so
right.
do you want to utilize your gas when you're on little decisions that mean nothing, like
Hmm.
perhaps the clothes we wear, as you know, Bill Gates and Elon Musk have shown, and
Hmm.
Victoria Beckham too. You know, she wears
Hmm.
the same clothes every day. Or do we want to save up those decisions for the big ones, for the willpower, for the like, okay, like I have a massive board meeting today. So I'm going to plan out my entire day so that way I can use all my concentration and effort on being my best person in this board meeting. Or, hey, I am going into a new eating regimen. Instead of winging it and deciding right as my stomach's growling what I'm going to eat, I'm going to write out every single meal that I'm going to have for the day, because then I'm no longer relying on willpower. I'm
Hmm.
relying just on
Right.
dedication to my plan.
Right.
And we're all
Hmm.
I'm
human
not
beings.
bringing Bluebell into the house. No Bluebell ice
Yeah.
cream. It's not coming in the house. I don't.
Right.
I don't have any.
Well,
Right.
and the thing is that like we're all adults, we're all human beings, we're not children, right? We can be responsible for ourselves.
Yeah,
We can.
absolutely.
We can be responsible. And sometimes when I'm like, oh, how did I get here? I'm like, you got yourself here. And it's like, okay, like I am responsible for myself. I'm an adult, and, you know, obviously barring, you know, health issues and things like that are out of
Hmm.
your control. I find it incredibly empowering to understand that like we're responsible for our days, we're responsible for our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, our bodies, our energy level, our outlook, our relationships. And if you don't like one of them, guess what? We can change it.
Yeah,
Yep. You can.
Yeah.
you can.
You know, want to change tracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is obviously a business. It's a business show. How did you? I take it this was a love of fitness from early on, playing
Yes.
sports in high school, so forth. How did it
Yes.
evolve into a business?
Uh, very, very painfully.
I think it's
Okay,
that
we
way
got a
for most of
story
us,
there.
honey. So go ahead.
Yeah,
I was gonna
let's hear more
say,
about that.
it's
Yeah.
not like I woke up and was like, this is what I want to be. And then the stars aligned, and then there were clients outside my door. And like,
No.
What?
no,
No?
no, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
No. Well, actually, I started. So, yes, Daphne, you're correct. I grew up playing sports. I grew up in a very active household. My parents met on a tennis court, for goodness sakes. We never had processed foods or sugars in our house. So I was very blessed. Like I was born with the proverbial silver spoon of health in my mouth. I never really had to I never battled anything like that. So I've always been fit and active. I started as a group fitness instructor because I love being around people and I have so much energy that I have extra to give. And I became a group fitness instructor in college. Now, immediately out of college, I did what I thought every graduate is supposed to do, and I went straight into marketing and advertising. I went into like a real job,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I worked in marketing and advertising for 18 years, actually, while teaching group fitness and personal training as a side hustle. My degree was in psychology, so I automatically just started to get interested in life coaching and habit coaching because I'm interested in the way people think, feel, process the world. And then it was about 6 years ago where I was blessed to get laid off of my job. And all of a sudden, like the universe, the higher power, whatever you want to call it, something in me was like, this is the time, and I just made the change. So I've been certified for years, but I'd never done it actually as my sole profession because I was terrified that if I made my passion my profession, that my passion would go away. And I started talking to a lot of people whose passion were their profession, whether it be, you know, having a passion in coaching or having a passion in marketing or having a passion, like I talked to some professional elite basketball coaches because I was blessed to be able to do some work with Adidas basketball. And every single person was like, nope, like if your passion and your profession come from your heart, you will never work a day in your life and you will never lose that passion and that flame. So about 6 years ago, I just said, F it. And I went full on into wellness coaching and training. And yeah, I haven't really looked back since. I still do a little bit of marketing work just because I love that strategic part of my brain. But my life's aspiration is to make the world a fitter planet. As cheesy as it sounds, I love working with people to make them realize how amazing they could be and help them to get to that level.
Okay, so with your marketing experience,
Yeah.
do you have particular? Because I would gather with social with fitness, social media is pretty important. So, are you an Instagram person, TikTok? You got a platform that you like?
I hate them all.
Okay,
I'll be honest. Um, I wish I could be better at social. I would say I kind of ebb and flow. My platform is Instagram, though. Just because photo and videos kind of my content personality. I really love video, and I think when it comes to health and fitness, there's so many myths and falsities out there that a platform to
Hmm.
where you can really talk. So I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I'm getting more active on YouTube, and then I have my own blog just through my website.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean that industry from a marketing strategist point of view, you could do soapbox all day long. I don't even know if people would get tired of it.
Yeah.
I tell my folks to soapbox it, and but you can only do it for so long, right? Everybody doesn't
Yeah.
want to hear it every day, but I think with fitness, it's almost like because there's so much crap, there's so much
Hmm.
bro marketing, there's so much just do this, just everything from watch me do calisthenics to, sit on top of this app and you'll lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's not all bullshit. I don't want to say it's bullshit, but like what you're talking about with starting where you are. Okay, you just said I picked this platform because I like doing X. So if I told you, Sonny, I know you like doing X, but you've got to go over here and you've got to start writing long form content on Facebook. How long is this going to last? Not very long. It's just straight
Day.
the same, right? And it's so the same with your health and fitness. I,
Hmm.
I mean, you also had the benefit there of it being emotional. And I know everything's sort of emotional. Um, but man, especially in marketing, when you can plug into those emotions because of all the messages we get, the
Hmm.
frustration. Um, I don't know very many people who've been fit their whole lives. I do know some, but not very many.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, the emotion part also is unfortunately so many people tie their self-worth into their physical appearance. And I've done it too. I've been fit my whole life, but gosh, like there have been times in my life where I've been like, well, I'll find a boyfriend when I have a six pack, like
Hmm.
when I have a thigh gap, when I and it was only when I untethered my self-worth from my physical appearance that I found true happiness. Because the fact of the matter is you can be happy in anybody whatsoever, right? But but yeah, I mean, I think that's where people in the industry tie on the emotions is like, well, drink this skinny tea and you'll lose 20 pounds overnight and then you'll be happy. And it's like, well, no, if you start to make yourself happy, I guarantee you that there are things that you are doing that because you're unhappy is adversely affecting your health. And so when we focus on increasing our self worth and becoming truly thriving individuals, I mean, I've had clients where we haven't even talked about calorie counting or looking at the foods that they're eating, and we're purely focused on, decreasing their stress and increasing their happiness and energy levels. And all of a sudden, they're like, Sunny, how did I lose 15 pounds? And I'm like, huh? Because we focused on what matters, actually.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think in my journey, that was something I realized at the end, right? Used to read all the time, until you love your body and until you have the right motivation. It's either hard to keep doing it or you end up doing it unhealthy, which
Right.
kept happening to me until it's like, okay, all right, old girl, we got to do this because I ain't trying to be in a wheelchair at 52, right?
Right. Right.
Or in a
Right.
size 18 at 52.
I
Right.
think
Um, yeah,
with
go
me
ahead,
it
Daph.
was
Sorry.
moderating the expectations
Okay.
because coming out of the Marine Corps, right? And at this stage of life, I had to because I had to go into major weight loss too. It's like, wait a minute, that stuff you did at at 25 and OCS, you're not doing that anymore. That you got pictures of her. She was a great girl. She doesn't live here anymore. That's not what's happening. You're not running with a pack and da 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 da. So it's a redesign of who you are now. This is the body you have, and this body doesn't want to run with a pack. This body
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to do that. This body will do this. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
this is what we want to achieve. Now let's work our way back.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
into
And oh, go ahead.
no, I'm just in agreement with that. That you've got to adjust where you are.
Yeah.
You've got these, as you said. There's a guy on Instagram. He's a former SEAL, and the post he makes every morning is a shot of his watch because he gets up every day at 4:30 with no alarms, and he posts that every morning at 4:30. You know, and okay, that's cool for him. That 4:30, no, I'm rolling over at 4:30. I get
Yeah.
up at this time, not 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him. He brought those into civilian life. Lucky for him. I have no desire.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that sounds exactly like my boyfriend. He has clients. He's in the same industry I'm in, and he trains clients at 5 a.m. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd rather swallow razor blades, but that's just me. Um, but yeah, Daphne, what you were saying is like, what we were talking about before with like The Rock and J Lo is like every body is different, every body is different, and then that especially pertains to us. Like Roberta, you were talking about it earlier, to where like, okay, I'm 40. I'm going to be 41 in a week. What I was doing when I was 20, 25, 15, or even 30, or gosh, like even 2 years ago, because guess what? Sorry, women, any year above 30, our hormones are changing and our hormones are against us. Like it sucks, but it's the reality of things.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if I'm doing the same thing that I was doing, A, I might not get the same results. B, it might actually be harming me versus helping me. And that's what we see a lot with Daphne, with people like you who are former military, or people who are former athletes, is the wear and tear that we put on our bodies when we're younger. Sometimes, our older bodies can't either sustain it, or we just have to change it differently.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we're always going to need to work out. Okay. We're always going to need to do some type of movement. We're always going to need to lift weights. No matter if you're 17 or 70, we always need to like lift weights. We have to. It's what prevents osteopenia. It's what prevents muscle degeneration. It's what keeps our bones from being brittle and breaking and, slipping on a piece of ice when you're 70, breaking a hip, and then it's end of life. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we always have to lift weights. We always need to move, but that doesn't mean that, you know, having your two a days when you were 25, you should still have two a days when you're 70. Maybe you can, because everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Daph, don't you do a lot of body weight now?
Well,
Like your
yeah, I've
squats and
gotten into yoga,
Okay. Yoga's
and
great.
try to do some squats. With me, it's consistency,
Hmm.
setting the time, and actually getting it done. Creating a schedule. So, but yeah, to keep the movement up and some type of movement. Since I'm not doing that stuff anymore, getting up and going out running and all this other stuff, which living in Texas plays a part because it's 80 degrees when the
Yeah.
sun comes up. It's
Yeah.
hmm
already 80 degrees and the sun just came up.
hmm
And you're not doing certain things outside anymore till sometime later in the evening. So again, it's life and figuring it out. But I'm sure I'm just speaking to the choir because you work with entrepreneurs and business people. We have to figure out how to do this because keeping a certain body type is not what I do for a living. It
Mm-hmm.
isn't necessary. The Rock makes time, and all these other people we've talked about, they make time to do this because that is their living.
Yes.
This is what they do. Right.
Yeah.
LeBron spends all day looking like LeBron. If you look at his Instagram, that's what he does all day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's staying
Yeah.
Yeah.
LeBron. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like with most people, it's just figuring out what healthy is to you,
Exactly.
right? And then setting a plan, as you said, Daphne, consistency is huge. I changed the KISS principle from keep it simple, stupid to keep it simple and sustainable,
Mhm.
because really that's all we need. And I think what happens is people tend to add a lot of complexity into
Mhm.
things. They're like, oh well, I want to lose weight or I want to get fitter. So I'm going to sign up for this like 75 hard program, or I'm going to sign up for this like 2 a day and this and that. And like, I'm going to make it as complex as possible, where like the best form of exercise is walking. I've seen people lose hundreds of pounds purely by walking. And then we add weightlifting in, right? But the best weightlifting moves are very simple: squatting, lunging, pressing, and pulling. That's it. We don't
Mhm.
need to be doing donkey jump kickovers with a 360 med ball slam and a, you know,
No.
we need to just be squatting and lunging and pushing and pulling, and we're good. And I think when people realize that like simplicity is going to be what gets us to our goal, it might not be sexy, right? But like you talk to the athletes on the top of their games, they're doing very simple things every
Mhm.
single day. Michael
Mhm.
Phelps is in the pool every single day. LeBron James is on the basketball court doing his agility drills every single day. It's about simplicity and sustainability. Guarantee you LeBron James isn't doing agility drills and then going and doing a parkour and then doing calisthenics. Like, I guarantee you everything he does is simply designed to make him the best basketball player he can be.
Right. Right.
Everything Michael Phelps is doing is simply designed to make him the best swimmer. So when we take that to ourselves, we need to look at what's going to make me the best version, what's going to make Roberta the best version of herself, and Daphne the best version of
Yeah.
herself. For Daphne, it might
Well,
be a shit ton of meditating because maybe she lives a really stressful life and walking and squatting. For Roberta, it might be, maybe you're a solopreneur and you're home by yourself all the time. And so getting you out to do a public Zoom, like a community Zumba class, is going to be good for you physically and mentally.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed for myself I do love group and I haven't been back in a while, but going down that journey, it was the food was the weight loss, right? And I thought, okay, I know exercise helps, but for me, the exercise is has so become about managing my ADHD that I'm completely
Mm-hmm.
undiagnosed because us Gen Xers were never diagnosed with it. They just let
Yep.
us run around on the walls and gave us spankings, right?
Yep.
Pick it
Um,
up.
but just keeping that squirrel and the calmness a lot of times requires that I push my heart rate up to the
Yeah.
max I can get it at least 2 times a week, if not 3 times a week.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. Okay, well, we're Gen Xers, so obviously we've seen Legally Blonde. One of my favorite
Right?
quotes from Legally Blonde is like when Reese Witherspoon is talking about the chick that murdered her husband, and she's like, she's a fitness instructor. Working out releases endorphins. Happy people just don't murder their husbands. And like, as trivial as that is, it's true though, because I'm going to say this again, our bodies are designed to move. So when we move, we receive all of these physical and mental benefits from it. Whether you're doing the most intense work, like HIIT workout possible, or doing a restorative yoga class, you're going to receive physical and mental benefits from it, right? So Roberta, before you were saying like, yeah, if weight loss is your goal,
it's gonna happen quickest through nutrition. It just is. They say bodies are built in the kitchen, six
Mhm.
packs are built in the kitchen, whatever you want to talk,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to say. So the way I explain things to people is what we put in our bodies really determines our weight and, some body composition. Now, when we want to look at body composition, though, that's where we go to working out and lifting weights. Because you could take two individuals who look exactly the same, who eat exactly the same, but one person does 7 days of yoga and one person does 7 days of weightlifting. Was the picture of those two people the same in your head?
Oh,
No.
completely different.
Probably not, right? So they all work together, but it's like if you want to lose weight, your number one step is going to be to go and look at the food that you're putting in your mouth, right? But then, Roberta, earlier you were saying, yes, 1,000%, the food that we put in our mouths and into our bodies not only help us with how we look and feel physically, but it also helps with mental cognition too, right? We've all had sugar crashes. We've all had Thanksgiving dinners where all of a sudden we're exhausted. And then we've all indulged a little bit too much where then we beat ourselves up about it. Right. So when we start to put food into our bodies, which honor our decisions and where we want to be, and then we start to move our bodies intentionally, like rising tides raise all ships,
Mhm.
one's going to feed the other, it's going to feed the next, is going to feed the next. And it just becomes this beautiful cycle that just helps, fuel the
Mhm.
next chain in the link.
Yeah, so the cycle's going the other way, right? I ate the bag of
Mhm.
tortilla chips, so now I'm not working out, and I already ate the bag of tortilla chips, so who cares about the burger and fries? And might as well have a big old fat margarita, and now I feel like shit, so I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Or
Right? And then
I,
the stress that comes the next
ooh,
day because you feel
Oh yeah.
bad when you wake up because you ate all that stuff, and you're like,
well,
okay,
who
I gotta
gets
go to
food
work, and I got
hangovers?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've gotten
Everybody
food
does. They don't
hangovers.
recognize them. They
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
recognize them, and that's
Yeah.
something too.
Yeah.
You that plays into it. Because again, being Gen Xers, you have to start paying attention to things. What time did you go to bed? Not
Hmm.
only that, what did you do before you went to bed?
Hmm.
Did you have a glass of water? Was the phone in the bed with you, and you were doing blue light? Uh, what you have to pay attention. I think that was the biggest thing. Going
Hmm.
from our 20s, where you could literally party all night and get up and go work.
I
It's
went to
strict.
church in my 20s, Daphne. I don't know
Yeah,
what you
right.
did.
Yeah, you could literally drive through the gates. You've been up all night, put on your PT shorts, and go run 3 miles. Not a problem. And then and
Hmm.
work the rest of the day. I'm going to the hospital if I do that now. That's not happening. At some point, I'm going to fall down and hit my head because I'm going to be unconscious. It's not going to work out. So again, where you are, okay, this is where I am, but I still
Hmm.
need to do this. I still need movement. That's a great thing you brought up about lifting, about that there has to be some weights in there because I,
Hmm.
I don't have that in the regimen right now. And
Hmm.
you're right. There's some lunging, some pulling, some lifting. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about osteopenia and osteoporosis. So osteopenia is what precedes osteoporosis, right? So osteopenia is basically your bone mass density starting to deteriorate. Studies show that that starts to kick in like your 30s or 40s.
Hmm.
Now, what tends to happen as people age is they go, oh, I need to be nice to my joints. So I'm going to start swimming and doing yoga. And while those are great forms of movement, swimming and yoga do nothing for your bones, right? So, in order to
Okay.
combat bone mass loss, we need what we call compounding hits on our bones, right? There are multiple ways to do that. One, you could take up running. Just the sheer force of your foot hitting the ground causes your bones to compound and then makes them stay strong. Another way
Okay.
to go about it is by actually putting the body under load. So while body weight workouts are great, now you could take your squats and you can turn them into jump squats because then you're getting the compounding. Or you could
Hmm.
simply hold a kettlebell, hold dumbbells, put a barbell on your back. So that way your bones deal with the compression and the compounding, because that's what always makes them stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find so many, because I work with people that are basically 35 and plus. I think my oldest client was 70. I haven't worked with really anyone past 70, but the biggest thing is getting people to understand that even as we age, we should still be hitting intensity. So fun fact, females, right? Hormonal weight gain presents in females around our midsection. So if you start to gain weight and it's all like in your belly, hips, thighs area, that could be one key that you have hormonal weight gain. One of the number one ways to combat hormonal weight gain is through strength training and intensity. And by intensity, I mean working out until you are huffing and puffing and gasping for air. It doesn't mean you have to do it a lot. And it doesn't mean that my intensity, who I do this as a living, The Rock's intensity, and someone who just started working out's intensity is the same. But it's getting to that point where you're going, and all of a sudden you're like, hold on, I need a second. I need to catch my breath. And that's what kickstarts the metabolism, because as we age, our metabolism declines.
Okay.
So does the intensity need to go along with the strength training, or is that like HIIT
Yes.
workout, or okay?
Yeah. So it all becomes part of like your program, right? So like 3 days a week, you could be lifting total body. 1 or 2 days a week, you could be doing like a HIIT workout. And then the other 2 days, you could be doing something restorative like yoga, walking, going for a light jog, going for a swim or a bike ride. But the two keys as we're aging is getting that compounding strength training and then getting that intensity. Because also, guess what? As we age, all right, listen to this. As we age, our metabolism decreases, which means our caloric need decreases, but our appetite doesn't. So my body, when I'm 50, might only require 1,800 calories, but my mouth, that's still eating as I was in my 40s, is used to eating 3,000 calories. So what's going to happen? I'm going to start to gain weight if I keep doing the same thing. So our metabolism decreases. Our bone mass density starts to decrease. So we need to add in strength training and compounding movements and, movements that create that push. And then what was the third one? Our muscles start to degenerate. We lose, I think it's like 5% or 5% of muscle mass, like every year. I don't remember the exact percentage, but every year past 30, our muscle mass starts to decline. So talking about what we were talking about before, if I'm doing the same workout in my 40s that I was doing in my 20s at the same weights, like lifting weights, I'm going to have less muscle in my body, because after 40, our bodies just start to work against us, unfortunately. So then we have to become really smart about how to mitigate those declines.
Okay. I'm gonna have to work that in there. Do you talk about this on your website or give little ebooks or okay?
Yeah.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. It's not thriving right now, but it will be. My YouTube channel is primarily workouts. So I have a library of free body weight workouts, and like equipment free workouts that people can do. And then I have a few talks like this that I give, to where I talk about the importance of lifting heavy, the importance of, daily movement, the importance of, paying attention to the shoes that we wear. So I hit a bunch of topics that are either super popular or things that people just don't think about. Like I said, the shoes that we wear, and Roberta looked at me like, huh? I have to pay attention to what I put on my feet. Yes, we do.
You mean
funny
it
thing
has
is
to
I
be
can't-
more than cute?
I can't do it anymore, man. Like in my 20s, especially, I was, Sex in the City shoe girl. I can't. I'm wearing Bobo shoes right now. That's why I kind of look down. Like I got on these Bamas.
Yeah, I'm barefoot 90% of the time, even when I work out. I'm barefoot.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
about the zero shoes?
Those are
Just let us
great.
into that. Okay.
Zero drop shoes and wide toe box shoes.
Oh yeah, now I'm down with the wide toe box.
hmm
So
It
there's a
lets our
certain
feet-
brand I don't wear anymore. There's a
Yeah.
certain brand that's out. It's
There
stylish, but I don't wear them anymore because they're
there are
not built for
many
my
brands I
feet.
don't wear anymore. But yeah, so for the listeners, zero drop shoes, if people don't know what they are, it's a zero drop is the term between the heel, the footbed heel, and the
Mhm.
bottom of the shoe. And zero, or sorry, the heel and the ball of the foot. My apologies. Zero drop means that there is zero difference between the heel and the ball. When you have a 1%, that means that your heel is lifted 1% higher than the ball of your foot. So when you look, you'll be like, oh, like what's the drop on the shoe? It might say a 3/4 inch drop, which means your heel is 3/4 higher than the ball of your
Hmm.
foot. Now that might not seem like a lot, but what happens is when we lift our heel up, our Achilles tendon shortens, our calf, our gastrocnemius shortens. And so now we're walking around with our heel elevated with all of these muscles and all these stabilizer muscles shortened. So if
Right.
you're someone that wears heels all the time and you have heel or knee or ankle pain, look at your shoes.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, that's a personal thing because the walking, you know how you have quote walking shoes, right? Walking gym shoes, walking tennis
Hmm.
shoes, and I
Yeah.
think we're going to need for me to go to actually zero
Yeah.
the quote barefoot walking shoes
Yes.
Mhm.
A
because
thousand
the
percent.
walking's become difficult, and I'm like, nah,
Mm-hmm.
why? Because I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
the
Hmm.
ankle stuff, and the knee stuff. So okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm soapbox, walking shoes are horrible unless they're zero drop wide toe box. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on your feet, ladies. We could do a whole podcast. Here are two tricks that people can do at home. Okay, two
Okay.
tricks. One, wear the shoes that you normally wear to work out, and then set up a camera and film your feet as you're squatting or as you're like deadlifting. Okay, two really simple lifts. Film your feet, only your feet.
hmm
Then take your shoes off and film them again doing the exact same movements. Chances are, when you're in your shoes, you're going to see a lot of heel wobbling and heel to toe wobbling because when we put shoes on that have a lot of cushion around our feet, it basically turns off the neuromuscular system in our
right,
feet and our feet stop working.
right.
Mhm.
That I have heard. Yeah,
I've
keep
heard
your
Yes.
that
feet
too.
because it's actually Gen Xers. We grew up in quote baby shoes, and by the time I had my son, it was known leave them barefoot.
Yeah.
Just keep your floors clean, leave them barefoot.
Yeah.
Don't put stuff on them unless you got to because you're taking them outside. And even
Yeah.
then, make it zero. A flat
Mhm.
shoe. Those
Yeah.
horrible baby shoes are bronze them and that's it. But you keep them out of those things. So
Yeah, because our feet have like 265 bones, ligaments, tendons, muscles, cartilage.
mhm.
We have 265 pieces of all of that in our feet. And if you think about how we came to be walking barefoot. So our feet are designed to be really nimble. And when we walk over a rock, our foot should expand over the rock and we don't feel it and we just keep walking. What happens is, as society, we've started to like modernize everything and we're like, ooh, let's put cute stuff on our feet and let's make them comfortable. So let's put 2 inches of cushion below. So then
Which
our
has even
feet
become
just,
more popular now. The big cushy shoes. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
yes,
that's what I have
yes.
on right now. Mm. Now I walked barefoot on the beach several times because I had heard that on a longevity podcast that one of the things that kills your agility is never walking barefoot.
Hmm.
And then people have falls and they lose, the ability to balance and stuff as they get older. But I mean, we have basically concrete floors with tile on them. So I thought it would help me to have the cushiony shoes. But you're telling me no, that I should try and walk barefoot even.
I would. But you'll have to wean yourself into it, right? If you go the first day without wearing shoes all day, your feet are going to hurt at the end of the day and then you're going to be like, "Oh, this is bad for my feet." So it's like you go 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours,
Okay.
4 hours. But, you said something interesting, walking barefoot is good for longevity. It's also good for our mental health. actually having our feet and our bodies hit earth and hit the ground. Like if I have clients that are really stressed out, I tell them go to the park, take your shoes off and sit and have your actual feet hit the ground, touch the ground, be in nature. You know, they have these things now called like forest baths. I don't know, have you heard of these? Where like you go and you intentionally walk in a forest and you do like a meditative walk, because nature, like just I'm going to talk about how we came to be. We didn't have structures around us. We didn't have air conditioning around us. We didn't even have the clothes that we're wearing. Like we were designed to be in nature. So when people are feeling stressed or disconnected or something like that, I always encourage them to get into nature, because that is where we get our energy from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's another Gen X movie right there. Julia Roberts made Richard Gere take off his shoes in the park in Pretty Women. Remember that? Made him like walk around in the grass.
Yep. She knew something.
She knew it.
Yeah.
Well, Sonny, it's been great talking to you. We're getting into Joe Rogan territory. You gave me an idea talking about shoes.
Okay.
We come on your channel. We do a live, and you can talk to us about shoes
Okay.
on your YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know if you Zoom or StreamYard or.
Zoom or primarily Zoom.
Okay, because Zoom will go live.
Yeah.
And we come there and ask you questions, because it can be difficult carrying a show by yourself.
Yes.
That's one reason we partnered up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Get out there having a partner. It's easy to bounce off.
Yeah.
Especially when you get in the brain fog.
Yes.
And I'm about to go look for some Zero shoes now.
Yes.
It had been on my mind, particularly after spending some time in Florida with Roberta, and we did the beach walks a couple mornings.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I think there's something to this. And I've gone barefoot. I stay bare. I have some Zero shoes. They're still house shoes, but they're Zero. They're even across, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in that in the house, and I put away all my pretty shoes. I'm in tennis shoes, even in dresses now. I've surrendered.
Yeah.
I don't do that to my feet anymore.
Yeah.
The feet are comfortable.
Yeah. And the good news is now that the word is out, mainstream companies, like I have a pair of Zero Drop shoes that are Reebok. Mm-hmm. Mainstream companies are doing them as well. You just need to look at the specs and make sure that the drop or the lift between heel and ball of foot is zero. And then the second thing I would highly recommend, because I had a client the other day who just had bunion surgery. I would highly recommend a wide toe box, because when we start to take our feet and we start to compress them, then the bones start to rub up against each other. And that's where you get those like mangled feet, bunion surgery, all of that. A really easy test you can do to see if your shoes are wide enough for your feet is actually take the insole out of your shoe, put the insole on the ground, and then step on the insole. And if any piece of flesh goes over the insole, your feet are being compressed in your shoes.
So the pointy toe blonics are out, huh?
I mean, look, you can wear them. I just wouldn't wear them all day.
Right.
Or you can invest in toe spreaders, and you can wear them and then get home and put toe spreaders in your feet and restore your feet.
Okay, so those things really work.
They do. They're phenomenal.
I'm going to get some. I have a lot of cramping at night, even when because I don't wear heels a lot, but like when I'm going to sleep, and I always thought it was because I walked on the beach so much. But you're saying kind of the opposite. Like I'll have cramping in my calves and in my feet, the bottom of my feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, likely from your shoes. Now, if you walk on the beach barefoot so much, the cramping could just be your muscles in your feet reorganizing. Because when I made the change from normal shoes to Zero Drop wide toe box, I did have some heel pain, some cramping, all that. I grew up playing volleyball, so we would tape our ankles and our arches. And so me transitioning, I did have a little bit of pain, but now, I mean, I've been in them for 4 years and I have had zero foot pain since. And I used to have sporadic foot pain. So it definitely works.
Might just be taking its time. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I love, this isn't a quote unquote business conversation, but to me, this is such a business conversation because how you feel in your body, and Daphne and I have both been there where we were so stressed out at work, body's a hit mess, wearing those crazy shoes, hadn't worked out and God only knows how long, just order me something off the top of the menu. I don't care what it is. And that cycle just goes into your business and how well you're able to think, how
Hmm.
well you're able to sleep, your creativity, your ability to handle stressful situations. Like I think you called it a keystone.
Yeah, keystone habits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I would invite people to really like write out their best average day in their life and like really write it out. Like, how do you wake up? How do you feel when your feet hit the ground? What do your meals look like? How are you acting at work? What type of conversations are you having? And chances are people aren't going to say, I snooze the alarm 7 times. I wake up and immediately drink 12 pots of coffee. I guarantee you people are going to say, I get up excited and ready for the day. So it's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Yes, it translates to physical and mental health as well, but it also could translate to the house you're living in, to the job you're in, to the person who's sleeping next to you. So there's just so much. It's such a great exercise to just write not your best day in your life, but your best average day. Like, this is my typical Tuesday. And like, what does it look like? And then from there, you can say, okay, well, what did my Tuesday look like today? And is there a gap between where I want to be and where I currently am? And then if there is a gap, pick one thing, just one thing to focus on, and just focus on that one thing. And then once you've achieved that one thing, then you focus on the next, and then the next. And then all of a sudden, your ideal average day and your day yesterday are exactly the same because you've
Hmm.
done the work and you've taken the time to do it.
Sounds great. And on that awesome upbeat note, that's where we're going to end it. Uh, we're going to make sure that we get your YouTube and your website in on the
Yeah.
show notes.
In the
In
show
on the
notes.
show
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah, it's just Sunny Blake Fitness. Everywhere you look, it's either Sunny Blake or Sunny Blake Fitness. I try to keep it
Okay.
easy.
We didn't ask. Do you have a podcast?
Not yet. No, I've just been guests on people's podcasts, but it's a
Cool.
coming. It's a coming.
Okay. Okay.
And
We're
when
going
it
to be on the
does,
lookout
y'all are
for it.
definitely on mine.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sounds
Sunny. This was
great.
great.
It
Yeah,
was. It
thank
was.
you.
Hey, it was great having you.
It was great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, then. Hey, and listeners, hey, thanks for showing up and thanks for giving this a listen. And you guys have a prosperous day out there. You growing women growing well.